I was walking down the street thinking about how expectation is a funny little creature, like a stray dog that keeps following you home, even when you swear you don't have any food for it. And I was thinking this because earlier in the day, someone had told me, I know you're going to make it big. And instead of feeling inspired, my stomach did that strange little folding trick it does when something weighs more than it sounds. Like the compliment wasn't a compliment. It was a prophecy I didn't agree to. And I kept thinking, why did that bother me? So I replayed the moment. And then replayed the replay. The way you do when you're walking past old buildings and trying to keep your mind from drifting, but it drifts anyway. I was nodding, and I was smiling, and I was saying yes. Yeah, I appreciate it. But inside, I felt like someone had handed me a backpack full of bricks and said, don't drop this, okay? Everyone's watching. So I kept walking, and I kept thinking about how people have conversations for you, even when you never promised anything. Like you show a spark of talent one time, 1 week, one moment, and suddenly they think you're supposed to turn into a whole fire. You cough once, and they expect you to sing opera. You lift one small thing, and now they expect you to build a house. I don't even know where half of these expectations come from. Probably the air. Expectations float in the air like pollen or dust. And if you breathe long enough, you start inhaling other people's dreams without noticing. And while I'm thinking of this, I pass by a diner window and I see my reflection in it. Just a guy in a jacket thinking too much, carrying invisible things. And I thought, you'd think after everything I've learned, I'd be able to shrug it off. But I don't. I absorb it. I carry it. I pretend it's light because people like when you look strong. I walk inside the diner because I needed coffee, or maybe I needed to sit in a booth and pretend the world wasn't asking me to be bigger than I felt. I don't know why diners always feel like safe places. Something about the vinyl seats and the hum of a fridge that might be older than I am. The waitress asked what I wanted, and I almost said, permission to be mediocre for a day. But instead, I said, coffee, black. Even though I wanted cream. But I didn't want to correct myself. I didn't want anything too specific. And while I was stirring the coffee, I shouldn't have ordered that way. I started thinking about hopes. Not expectations, but hopes. And our hopes are different. Hopes whisper. Expectations shout. Hopes are like feathers on your shoulder. Expectations are like anvils. And I was trying to remember the last time someone hoped something for me instead of expecting something from me. Maybe when I was a kid, when everything I did was enough. Just because I did it. When drawing a weird picture got a, that's great. Instead of, you could sell that. And I started thinking about how heavy unspoken hopes are. The ones you'll never tell people because you don't want to jinx them or embarrass yourself. The ones you tuck in your pocket like receipts you keep meaning to throw away. I have a lot of those. Hopes I never say out loud, because the moment you say a hope out loud, it becomes an expectation in someone else's ear. I sat there and thought, maybe that's why I'm tired. Not from what I'm doing, but from what I'm trying not to say. From holding everything inside like a sealed envelope addressed to no one. And it was peculiar, really, because you'd think speaking hopes would make them lighter, like letting pressure out of a balloon. But in my head, it felt like handing someone a map to all my weak points. I finished my coffee, even though it was bitter, and I watched the people passing outside, all of them carrying something invisible. I imagined their hopes in their pockets, their expectations on their backs, the things they wish someone would notice but never say. And I thought, everybody's walking around with great expectations, but nobody knows what to do with the weight of unspoken hopes. When I left the diner, the air felt a little lighter. Not because anything changed, but because I finally admitted to myself what I'd been carrying. And I walked toward nothing in particular, thinking about how maybe the first step in handling expectations is simply saying, yeah, I feel it. It's heavy, but I'm still here. And that was enough for that moment. Just because being here, moving forward, pockets full of quiet wishes, the world doesn't need to know yet. I ended up walking toward the river without meaning to. You know how your feet make decisions your brain hasn't caught up to yet. I was thinking about diners and hopes and how people say no pressure while handing you all the pressure in the world. And while I was thinking all that, my feet just kept walking, like they were tired of my thoughts and wanted scenery instead. I reached the river and stood there watching the water move, like it had somewhere to be, unlike me. Standing there trying to make sense of why I felt so heavy when nothing on my body weighed more than usual. You'd think looking at water would clear my mind. All that motion, all that repetition, but it didn't. It just made everything louder. Thoughts bouncing around like they were trying to get out. I kept thinking about how expectations don't always come from people. Sometimes you build them yourself, brick by brick, without realizing you're building a whole damn cathedral you never planned to enter. Like you tell yourself, this year I'm going to do this, and by this age, I should have done that. And before you know it, you're standing in front of a monumental structure built from your own promises. And you're the only one who knows you didn't finish the blueprint. A pigeon walked past me, head bobbing like it was judging me for thinking too much. I almost said out loud, mind your business. But that would have been ridiculous. Or maybe not. Maybe it's more ridiculous to argue with expectations you created yourself. The pigeon didn't care. It kept going like it had somewhere urgent to be. Probably a French fry emergency. The sky looked heavy too, like it understood what I was feeling. Not dark, not stormy, just full of things it wanted to release but hadn't yet. And I thought, yeah, that's me. Full of sentences I never finish, plans I never complete, dreams I don't say because saying them makes them real, and real things can break. I sat on a bench that someone probably carved their initials into years ago. And I started thinking about the difference between pressure and purpose. Pressure pushes you from behind, shoves you forward, whether you're ready or not. Purpose pulls you from the front, a gentle tug that says, come on, it's time. And I realized I've been pushing so long, I forgot what it feels like to be pulled. A couple walked by, holding hands. Not the romantic part. That didn't hit me. What got me was how synchronized they were. Like they knew how to walk together without thinking. It takes time. It takes trust. I wondered what expectations they put on each other. Or if they had some unspoken agreement like, you carry yours, I'll carry mine. And maybe we'll help each other when it gets too heavy. I leaned back on the bench and exhaled like the air was something I owed the world. And I thought, maybe the problem isn't expectations. Maybe the problem is silence. Because silence makes everything heavier. The hopes you never say. The fears you pretend to have. The things you want but don't admit because wanting feels dangerous. And I kept thinking about that until my mind drifted to a strange place. Wondering how many people walk around every day thinking they're behind in a race no one's actually timing. It's peculiar when you notice something like that. Peculiar, but true. Eventually, I stood up because the bench started feeling like a confession booth. I brushed off my jacket, even though there was nothing on it. And I told myself, all right, let's move. Even if you don't know where, movement counts. And I walked away from the river, carrying the same invisible things. But now I could finally feel their shape. And once you know the shape of something, it's a little easier to hold. Every thought laid bare style. I was walking back through the city, and I noticed how everybody looks different when you're thinking too much. It's like the whole world tilts a little. People look rushed, even when they're standing still. Cars look impatient, even at red lights. Even the buildings look like they're leaning in, waiting for you to make some big decision you didn't know you were supposed to make. I passed a barber shop, the kind with the red and blue pole spinning like it's dizzy from years of expectations. And I remembered how, when I was younger, the barber would always say, "You're going to be something big one day, kid." And I'd nod like that was a normal thing to say to a 9-year-old who just wanted a fade and a lollipop. And I realized those expectations stick to you like old hair clippings. You try to shake them off, but a few cling to your neck. Inside the shop, some guy was arguing about sports, but it wasn't really about sports. It was about being right. Being right is another expectation people don't talk about. The world expects you to have opinions, strong ones, loud ones, even when you don't care. And if you say, I don't know, people look at you like you skipped a homework assignment. So I've learned to pretend. Sometimes I pretend I don't know things. Pretend I'm certain when I'm not. Pretend confidence is something I own and not something I rent month to month. I kept walking and ended up in front of a library. I didn't mean to. My feet were just doing their thing again, choosing. And I thought, why a library? Maybe because libraries are quiet enough for your thoughts to hear themselves. Maybe because books don't ask anything of you, except that you turn the page. They don't expect you to succeed. They don't pressure you to perform. They just exist, full of words someone once dared to speak out loud. I walked in and felt that warm hush that only libraries have. Like the air is telling you, shh. People have places in their hearts on these shelves. I wandered between aisles without looking for anything in particular. Every title looked like a confession someone finally admitted. And I thought about all the people who wrote pages they didn't know anyone would read. That's hope, not expectation. Hope. I sat at a wooden table, and the chair squeaked in a way that made me feel like I was disturbing centuries of quiet. I rested my hands on the table, palms down, and suddenly I felt like I needed to tell someone something, but I didn't know what. And that's the tricky part. Sometimes you feel the urge to speak without having the words ready. Like your heart starts the sentence and expects your mouth to fill in the rest. But my mouth didn't know what to say. So everything stayed inside, swirling around like dust in a sunbeam. A librarian walked by and smiled in that gentle way people do when they expect you to be okay. People always assume you're okay in quiet places. Maybe that's why quiet places make me uneasy. They're built on the expectations of peace. And some days, I don't have peace. Some days I'm just pretending to hold myself together long enough to not draw attention. I grabbed a random book because holding something makes you feel less like you're floating. I didn't read it. I just held it and thought about how people mistake silence for strength. They think being quiet means the thoughts are too loud to speak over. I left the library after a few minutes, or maybe it was an hour. I don't know. Time doesn't behave normally in places where you're forced to sit with yourself. Outside, the sky had finally decided what it wanted to do. It started raining, light at first, like the sky was testing the idea. Then steadier, committed. I didn't put up my hood. I just let it fall. It felt like someone else was finally carrying a little bit of what I had been carrying all day. And I stood there, getting wet. I thought, Maybe expectations aren't the problem. Maybe the problem is pretending they don't affect me. And once I admitted that, I felt something. Not lighten, just shift. Like I could finally breathe with the weight instead of around it. I was walking home in the rain. Not fast, not slow. Just that in-between pace where you're not trying to get somewhere, but you're trying not avoiding it either. The rain had worked its way into my clothes. That heavy kind that makes fabric cling to you like responsibility. You'd think the cold would bother me, but it didn't. It felt honest, like the weather wasn't pretending to be anything else. I kept thinking about the library, about hopes, whispers, and the pages. And I realized most people don't get moments like that anymore. Moments where nothing is required of you except existing. No one asking if you're making progress. No one asking if you're keeping up. No expectations except turning oxygen into breath. I turned a corner and saw a man sitting outside a closed shop, leaning against the building like he was holding it up. He looked at me and nodded. That slow, knowing nod strangers give each other when they recognize a certain heaviness. And I thought, he's carrying something too. Everyone is. No exceptions. Some carry guilt. Some carry fear. Some carry dreams they're scared to say out loud because saying them means risking failure. I nodded back, and for a moment, it felt like we exchanged something. Not words, not comfort, just acknowledgement. That alone felt rare. People don't acknowledge heaviness unless you collapse under it. I kept walking until I reached this old bus stop I always pass by but never use. It's one of those glass shelters where someone messed up the graffiti and tried to fix it. So now it looks worse. I sat down because my feet were finally tired of pretending they weren't tired. I watched the rain streak down the glass, turning the world blurry, like everything was underwater, or like the universe was giving me permission not to see clearly for a minute. And that's when it happened. That little shift inside your chest, like a gear clicking into place after grinding for too long. A quiet voice, mine, but truthful for once, said, "You don't have to live up to everything people imagine for you. You don't have to outrun the version of you they think exists. You don't even have to be special today." I sat there stunned because I don't usually let myself think things like that. It felt like breathing and breaking a rule. A soft rule. A rule I made up. A rule I never questioned. Then I started thinking about hopes again. Not the kind others place on you, but the ones you hide from the world. The ones you bury so deep you forgot where you put them. And I realized something kind of strange. Maybe the reason unspoken hopes feel so heavy is because they're alive. They move around. They breathe. They talk to you, even when you ignore them. And when you finally stop running, stop pretending, stop performing, they sit beside you like old friends you were scared to meet again. I don't know how long I sat at the bus stop. Long enough for the rain to relax into a drizzle. Long enough for the heaviness to change shape again. Not gone. Never gone. But more cooperative. Like it was finally willing to walk beside me instead of on top of me. Eventually I stood up again. Wiped my hands on my soaked jeans. And told myself something I never told myself in that tone before. You're allowed to grow slowly. You're allowed to hope quietly. You're allowed to exist without proving anything. And those words, those tiny, simple words, felt like the first honest expectations I'd ever given myself. I walked home still wet, still unsure, still full of unspoken things. But I wasn't afraid of them anymore. Not that night. And when I finally closed the door behind me, it felt like the world paused just long enough for me to hear one final thought, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't push, doesn't demand. You're doing enough. Even when you feel like you aren't. Even when the wait is quiet. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it.